He was still laughing when the lawyer unfolded the first page of the will. A soft, smug, almost mocking laugh that echoed through the oak-paneled room like he'd already won something he didn't deserve. And she just stood there. This elegant billionaire woman who had spent years searching for a good senior man to marry. Not for his money, but for companionship, for kindness, for the kind of gentle stability life had never given her. And now, in this moment, everything was about to turn upside down. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and how old are you? And let me ask you this, what would you do if you married for love, but the world kept insisting you married for money? And how would you react if the man who mocked you suddenly learned the truth at the reading of a will? Her name was Elena Brooks, 62, poised, self-made, and tired of being surrounded by people who only saw dollar signs when they looked at her. She had built her empire from a tiny candle shop she started in her garage at 28. Now she could buy entire city blocks if she wanted to, but none of that filled the quiet in her home, the silence at her dinner table, or the coldness of waking up alone. She wanted companionship, not perfection, not youth, not someone dazzled by her wealth, just someone who cared about her, the real her, silver hair, laugh lines, and all. Then she met Harold Sutton, 70, retired history teacher, living on a modest pension. He held doors open, listened without interrupting, and treated her like a woman, not a walking investment. He didn't know she was wealthy the first few weeks. She dressed simply, met him in small diners, and let herself be seen without all the armor of her world. For the first time in years, someone liked her for her stories, not her bank account. But Harold had a son, Damon, 50, loud, arrogant, and convinced every woman was out to take something from someone. The first time he met Elena, he smirked the entire dinner, tapping on his phone, muttering jokes under his breath. And when Harold wasn't looking, he whispered, "Women like you always circle old men with money. Good luck, though. Dad doesn't have any." Elena didn't argue. She didn't defend herself. She just smiled politely because what was the point? Damon's bitterness was a wall no kindness could climb. The months passed, and Elena and Harold fell deeper into an unexpected, beautifully simple love. They married in a quiet backyard ceremony with only 20 guests. Damon didn't show up. He texted Harold the morning of the wedding. "Good luck with your gold digger." Elena never told Harold about that message. She didn't want to start their marriage with pain. Their first year together was gentle. Movie nights, slow walks, morning coffee. Elena didn't shower him with expensive gifts. She knew that would only make him uncomfortable. Instead, she gave him time, attention, laughter, and he gave her peace, something money had never been able to buy. But everything changed the night Harold collapsed while reading in his favorite armchair. A heart attack, swift, silent, unforgiving. Elena called 911, shaking so violently she dropped the phone twice. She held his hand all the way to the hospital, whispering that she loved him, praying for one more morning together. But Harold never woke up. Damon showed up an hour later, not even asking how Elena was doing. He just demanded to know about the assets, though his father had lived modestly all his life. Elena, grieving and exhausted, simply walked away from him. But Damon followed her out into the hallway, laughing under his breath. "So what's your plan now?" he said. "Find another lonely old guy? Or did Dad leave you disappointed? No money to take after all?" She wanted to scream, but her voice broke before the words formed. She walked away again, swallowing the pain, the rage, the helplessness. She had loved Harold. And this man, this cruel, entitled man, would never believe it. 2 weeks later, the lawyer called both of them in for the reading of Harold's will. Elena dressed simply again, as Harold always liked. Damon showed up late, wearing a smug grin, acting like he already owned the room. He didn't even look at her before joking loudly, "Let's see what the gold digger left me, huh?" She clenched her hands, not because she wanted anything from Harold's estate, but because she wished, for once, Damon could see who his father had been in those final months. How happy he'd been. How loved. The lawyer cleared his throat, rustling the papers. Damon leaned back, still laughing softly. Elena stood still, heart pounding. And then the lawyer began reading. In the matter of the estate of Harold James Sutton, Elena braced herself to hear Damon gloat. She assumed the will would list the pension, the old house, maybe the car. She assumed Damon would take everything, and she'd walk away with nothing except memories. But then the lawyer read the next line. The sum of $12 million. Damon stopped laughing instantly. Elena's breath caught. $12 million? Harold had never told her anything about this. Damon leaned forward, face draining of color. What? What money? He didn't have money. But the lawyer wasn't finished. The full ownership of Sutton Holdings established by Harold Sutton in 1985. Elena felt dizzy. Harold. Harold had been wealthy too? Quietly, secretly, privately. Why hadn't he told her? Why hide something like this? Damon was already shouting. Where is it? Where did he hide it? He never said anything. The lawyer held up a hand, signaling for silence. This entire estate, including all accounts, properties, and business assets? Elena felt her heart stop. The lawyer glanced at her. Is left to Elena Brooks. The room fell into a silence so sharp it felt like the air itself stopped moving. Damon's mouth hung open, his eyes wide, blinking rapidly like he was trying to wake himself from a nightmare. Elena didn't move. She couldn't. The words echoed in her head again and again, almost unreal. Left. To her? All of it? Damon shot to his feet, knocking his chair back so hard it clattered across the hardwood floor. That's a lie! He yelled, pointing a shaking finger at the lawyer, then at Elena. My father would never leave everything to her. This has to be fraud. She tricked him. She manipulated him. If you were standing in that room, what would you do? Would you defend yourself or let the truth speak for you? Elena's lips parted, but no sound came out. She didn't care about money. She cared about the fact that she had truly never known Harold's financial life. She thought he lived simply because that's genuinely who he was. And maybe that was true. Maybe he had intentionally lived small so people wouldn't chase him for what he had. The lawyer waited calmly as Damon paced, cursing under his breath. When Damon finally slammed his fists on the table and demanded an explanation, the lawyer pulled another document from the folder. Mr. Sutton, he said firmly, your father wrote a personal letter to accompany the will. He left instructions for it to be read aloud only after the legal portion. Damon froze. Elena's heart thudded painfully against her ribs. The lawyer unfolded the letter and smoothed it with trembling fingers. His voice softened. My dear son, Damon's jaw tightened. If you are hearing this, then I am gone. And I imagine you are angry. I understand that. You've been angry at the world for a very long time. I'm sorry I couldn't help you heal that. But I want you to know something before anything else. I love you. You are my son, and that has never changed. Damon looked away, but Elena noticed the way his shoulders tensed just slightly. The lawyer continued reading. I know you believe Elena married me for money, but the truth is, she didn't even know about my wealth. She never asked, never hinted. She loved me quietly, honestly, without judgment. She gave me the happiest months of my life, and I want her to live the rest of hers without worry. She deserves peace, comfort, and joy, things she has spent so many years giving to others. Elena brought a hand to her mouth, emotion rising in her throat. The lawyer read on. To you, my son, I leave something more valuable than money. I leave the hope that one day you will open your eyes and see people for who they truly are, not who you fear they might be. Money cannot fix the anger inside you, but maybe losing it will show you what really matters. Damon clenched his fists, his face twisted between disbelief and heartbreak. The lawyer lowered the letter slowly. The silence returned. Elena wanted to speak, to offer Damon something, comfort, understanding, or even a small slice of the truth of who his father had been with her. But Damon turned on her with a look so sharp it could cut glass. This is your fault, he hissed. All of it. She shook her head softly. I didn't ask for any of this, Damon. I didn't even know. You expect me to believe that? He shouted. I expect you to believe your father, she said quietly. He stormed out, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. Elena sank into a chair, trembling. She didn't feel victorious. She felt overwhelmed, confused, and strangely guilty over something she never wanted. The lawyer placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. He trusted you, he said. He cared for you deeply. This was his decision alone. But that didn't make the weight any lighter. The following days were chaos. Reporters somehow caught wind of the surprise inheritance. Headlines exploded. Retired teacher leaves secret empire to new wife. Elena hated every second of it. She stayed inside her home, Harold's home, feeling the loneliness creep in faster than the money could mean anything. One evening, just as the sun dipped below the trees, there was a knock on her door. A hesitant, uneven knock. She opened it and found Damon standing there. But he didn't look angry this time. He looked exhausted. She didn't say anything. She stepped aside and let him in. He walked into the living room, the one his father had loved, then stopped, staring at the empty armchair. His voice cracked when he finally spoke. He never told me, he whispered. Not about the business, not about the money, not about you. He never talked to me about anything real. Elena swallowed hard. He tried, Damon. I saw how much he wanted to reach you. Yeah, well, I made that impossible, didn't I? He rubbed his eyes. I thought you were using him. I thought everyone was. So I pushed him away. I didn't even go to his wedding. A long, painful silence stretched between them. Elena finally spoke. If he were here right now, he'd tell you it's not too late to be the man he believed you could be. Damon sank onto the couch, his posture collapsing. What do you want to do with all of it? He asked quietly. The money. The company. Elena looked around the room at Harold's books, his framed photos, the small plant he watered every morning. I want to honor him, she said softly. Not change my life, just honor him. Damon nodded slowly, then lifted his eyes. There was something new in them, humility, maybe even remorse. Would you let me help? He asked. She felt a warmth in her chest, unexpected and gentle. If you genuinely want to, she said. For the first time since Harold's passing, Damon gave a small, honest smile. I think it's time I finally grow up, he murmured. Days turned to weeks, and something remarkable began to happen. Damon showed up regularly. He asked questions, listened, learned, and softened. Elena didn't replace his father. She simply gave him space to become the son Harold had always hoped he'd be. 1 year later, at the unveiling of a scholarship fund they created together in Harold's name, Damon turned to Elena with eyes full of sincerity. Thank you, he said, for everything. Dad made the right choice. Elena felt tears welling up, but they were warm this time, not from grief, but from healing. And Harold, wherever he was, would have been proud. Thank you for listening to this story. If it touched you, if it made you think about love, trust, or the value of what we leave behind, go ahead and like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more stories like this.